Welcome. We bring you Japan's latest news every day. AI sums up what matters, so you can stay informed in English in just a few minutes. If you find it helpful, please like and subscribe. Kanto region hit by localized severe rainfall. Flooding and river overflow require maximum alert. The Kanto region is experiencing highly unstable atmospheric conditions due to moist air flowing toward a frontal system. Localized severe rainfall is occurring across the Kanto region, including central Tokyo, with a level 4 heavy rain danger warning issued for the 23 wards of Tokyo. Under these circumstances, the risk of flooding and river overflow has increased significantly, prompting authorities to issue a maximum alert. Similar unstable atmospheric conditions are expected to continue in the Kanto Koshinetsu and Tohoku regions as well. The public is advised to closely monitor weather forecasts, check the latest warnings and advisories, and evacuate early if necessary. 4 more disaster-related deaths recognized from Noto Peninsula earthquake, bringing total death toll to 748. We have an update on the damage from the Noto Peninsula earthquake. Ishikawa Prefecture has newly recognized 4 deaths in the prefecture as disaster-related deaths. This brings the total number of disaster-related deaths from the Noto Peninsula earthquake to 520. When combined with direct deaths caused by the earthquake itself, the total death toll has reached 748. Disaster-related deaths refer to those who died from causes related to the earthquake but not from direct impact of the quake itself, such as excessive stress and fatigue from evacuation life, or inability to receive medical care. The prefecture plans to continue focusing on support for disaster victims and management of their physical and mental health. Level 4 heavy rain warning issued for Kita Ward, Tokyo. Residents urged to exercise utmost caution against flooding and river overflow. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued a Level 4 heavy rain warning for Kita Ward, Tokyo at 5:34 p.m. The risk of flooding in low-lying areas and river overflow has become extremely high, and residents are being urged to exercise the utmost caution. The meteorological agency is calling on people to check evacuation information released by municipal authorities, and those in dangerous areas are advised to move to safe locations immediately. The public is urged to pay close attention to further weather information and remain alert for the latest warnings and advisories. Please also check information provided through local disaster prevention broadcasts and municipal authorities. Bipartisan lawmakers propose utilizing AI to strengthen parliament functions. A cross-party group of lawmakers focused on strengthening parliamentary functions has compiled a proposal recommending the use of artificial intelligence and submitted it to the speakers of both houses of the Diet. The proposal's main focus is to improve lawmakers' efficiency by introducing AI in the creation of bill materials and anticipated Q&A sessions. It is hoped that by utilizing AI, more substantive deliberations can be achieved within limited timeframes. The proposal also aims to raise the quality of parliamentary discussions while reducing the workload on lawmakers. Going forward, attention will be focused on how both houses of the Diet will implement this proposal. In the age of generative AI, written composition evaluation to place greater emphasis on oral explanations, Ministry of Education Advisory Council. As generative AI becomes more widespread, an advisory council at the Ministry of Education is moving forward with revising evaluation methods for Japanese language instruction. With children increasingly having opportunities to use AI, the ministry has determined that traditional written composition evaluation alone is insufficient. The new evaluation method will not only assess the quality of submitted texts, but will also place emphasis on having students provide oral explanations about their composition process and intent. This will enable more accurate understanding of students' actual critical thinking, judgment, and expression skills. By introducing such multifaceted evaluation methods, the Advisory Council aims to establish an educational system capable of appropriately measuring children's true academic ability even in the age of generative AI. Over half of Japanese individuals use generative AI, but adoption rate still lags behind foreign countries. Generative AI usage is expanding rapidly across Japan. According to a survey by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, the percentage of people in Japan who have used generative AI services has exceeded 50% for the first time. Personal usage has reached over 50%, indicating that adoption is progressing. However, there are challenges with the overall adoption rate. Both individuals and companies in Japan continue to show lower usage levels compared to major overseas countries such as China and the United States. These countries appear to have made greater strides in utilizing generative AI. Going forward, efforts to further promote generative AI adoption in Japan are likely to become increasingly important. National Governors Association urges acceleration of final disposal plans for decontamination soil. The National Governors Association has submitted a request to the national government regarding the disposal of decontamination soil resulting from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant accident. Soil removed during decontamination efforts is currently being stored at an interim storage facility in Fukushima Prefecture. However, Japanese law stipulates that final disposal outside of Fukushima Prefecture must be completed by 2045. The National Governors Association is calling on the national government to accelerate its efforts to meet this deadline. The final disposal of decontamination soil has become an important issue in advancing recovery from the nuclear accident. Going forward, the formulation of concrete disposal plans between the national government and relevant local authorities is expected to become increasingly urgent. Economy Minister Akazawa says next month's crude oil procurement will match last year's levels. Economy and Industry Minister Akazawa announced his outlook for crude oil procurement next month at a press conference following today's cabinet meeting. He stated that alternative supply routes bypassing the Strait of Hormuz are making progress, and Japan is expected to secure roughly the same amount of crude oil next month as was achieved last year. In response to growing instability in the Strait of Hormuz, the government has been working to establish multiple crude oil procurement routes, and today's announcement demonstrates the results of those efforts. It has become clear that steady progress is being made in securing stable energy supplies. Foreign Minister Motegi says Japan's Russia policy unchanged, but communication necessary. Foreign Minister Motegi reaffirmed Japan's basic policy toward Russia in connection with talks held in the Philippines with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov. The minister emphasized that there are no changes to current policy, including sanctions against Russia. At the same time, he repeatedly stated that it is important for both governments to maintain communication as neighboring countries. This meeting demonstrates Japan's position that maintaining diplomatic dialogue is necessary even amid confrontational relations. Nichirei recovers from cyberattack system failure. Operations return to normal. Major frozen food manufacturer Nichirei announced today that it has fully recovered from system failures caused by a recent cyberattack. As of the 24th, all warehouse inventory operations and frozen food shipment operations have returned to normal, restoring the company to its pre-attack status. Nichirei's logistics functions had been temporarily suspended due to the attack, but the company has completed recovery efforts. Currently, all operations from manufacturing through shipment are proceeding without disruption, and the supply system to customers has been restored. Going forward, the company says it will further strengthen its cybersecurity measures. Supermarkets ramp up eel sales ahead of Doyo no Ushi no Hai. Major supermarkets are stepping up eel sales as the Doyo no Ushi no Hai, or Midsummer Day of the Ox, approaches. This year, an abundant harvest of eel fry has led to a significant drop in wholesale prices compared to previous years. In response, multiple supermarket chains are expanding their eel sections and increasing their selection of affordable products. For consumers, this represents a good opportunity to purchase eel, a seasonal tradition during this time of year, at reasonable prices. Stores are stocking a wide variety of eel products, from grilled kabayaki to white grilled varieties, hoping to attract more customers. Stock prices fall over 2,200 yen on rising oil prices and growing concerns over excessive AI investment. Tokyo's stock market posted significant declines on the 24th. The Nikkei 225 average fell more than 2,200 yen at one point. There are two main factors behind the decline. First, crude oil prices have risen due to escalating tensions in Iran. Second, there is growing concern about excessive investment in artificial intelligence, or AI. Until now, investment in AI-related companies has been overheated, but anxiety is spreading through the market that profits may not materialize as expected. Market conditions have become increasingly unclear, and investors are adopting a more cautious stance. Russia's military invasion of Ukraine. Developments on July 24. Updates. Here's the latest on the situation in Ukraine. Intense fighting between Russian and Ukrainian forces continues, with reports of damage from artillery strikes and airstrikes across multiple regions of the country. As the fighting intensifies, many civilians are being forced to flee to neighboring countries, including Poland, and the number of refugees continues to grow. Meanwhile, in the international community, diplomatic activities among countries are intensifying as they work to respond to this military invasion. The United States and the European Union have signaled their intention to strengthen support for Ukraine, and developments are being closely monitored. Trump administration withdraws subpoena against New York Times reporter over Air Force One coverage. The Trump administration has withdrawn a subpoena it had issued against a New York Times reporter. The reporter had written an article stating that the new presidential aircraft used by the president lacks certain defensive capabilities against attacks. The Justice Department had issued the subpoena and sought to compel the reporter to reveal their sources, but the administration has reversed that decision. The policy change is believed to have been prompted by growing public debate over press freedom. The relationship between the administration and news organizations continues to draw close scrutiny. Trump administration imposes new tariffs on 60 countries and regions over insufficient forced labor measures. The United States imposed new tariffs on approximately 60 trading partners early on the 24th, citing their failure to adequately prevent forced labor. The U.S. conducts the majority of its imports with these countries and regions. According to U.S. authorities, the new tariffs target America's major economic partners, including the United Kingdom, China, the European Union, Canada, Japan, and India. The tariff rates range from 10 to 12.5%, with Japan facing a 12.5% rate. This action comes as a temporary 10% tariff on foreign products introduced in February expires. In that same month, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that many of the tariffs the president imposed globally under emergency powers were illegal. As a result, Trump has been seeking alternative legal means to continue pushing his signature trade policies. Last month, he proposed tariffs of 10 to 12.5%, citing insufficient measures against forced labor. Jamieson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative, stated in a statement on the 23rd that, "This action corrects the current situation, which constitutes human rights violations and distorted trade practices, and improves the welfare of workers everywhere." He said the U.S. will invoke Section 301 of the 1974 Trade Act, which governs America's trade enforcement against actions burdening or restricting U.S. commerce. According to the Trade Representative's office, these tariff measures will be imposed on America's trading partners for failing to effectively enforce import prohibitions on goods produced through forced labor. Trump says U.S.-Saudi nuclear agreement conditional on Israeli recognition. President Donald Trump said on the 23rd that the U.S.-Saudi Arabia Civilian Nuclear Cooperation Agreement signed the previous day hinges on whether Saudi Arabia recognizes the State of Israel. In a post on his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump wrote, "The civil nuclear agreement for non-military use only, with no enrichment of nuclear material, will be approved, but it all depends on Saudi Arabia participating in the very respected and successful Abraham Accords. It remains unclear whether this condition is explicitly stated in the text of the nuclear agreement, which has not yet been made public, or whether Saudi Arabia has agreed to this condition." Saudi Arabia has not yet responded to Trump's remarks. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on the 23rd that President Trump has discussed this situation with Saudi leadership multiple times in the past. "If they don't participate in the Abraham Accords, the president says this deal will be terminated," Leavitt said. "So we will continue to engage in discussions with the Saudi side going forward.